Hi, Leela. Sorry we got interrupted with a phone call when Uncle Benny and I were talking with you about Yom Kippur. So, the thing that I love about Yom Kippur is that it is really kind of time to take time off and not have any outside stimulation like food, music, and it's really a somber time. It's supposed to be a very quiet time, it's supposed to be a very contemplative time. I remember when we did go to temple where there were long services. It was kind of like repenting, you had to really kind of suffer through a very long service as you reflected on this past year. And again, how you'd like to do things differently, how you'd like it to make amends with relationships that maybe didn't go so well, who you wanted to apologize to. That's another thing, I think, on Yom Kippur. I remember it to be a time when you were encouraged to pick up the phone or go to somebody that you had wronged.
Not that day, but the next day.
Not that day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it was deciding who you were going to do things with. Okay. So, it's kind of making this mental list of who you were going to talk with when it, to make amends for the previous year. And the other thing that I loved about it is I always felt like Yom Kippur gave you a chance to kind of start all over again, recognizing where you fell short and coming to some, what do I want to say, Benny, understanding of that, letting it go, and then moving forward in the next year, which was a really nice thing. Because as we go through life, we all, learn along the way and make mistakes. And if we're not making mistakes, we're not really living a very full life. But it then gives you a chance to learn from those mistakes and be in a continual, I think, cycle of self-improvement, which I think is the way one should live their life anyway. So I think Yom Kippur kind of helps with that.
Other thing that's interesting about it from the religious perspective is the 10 days that exist between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is when you are theoretically written into the book of life for the next year, and religiously it's when your die is cast. So the determination of whether or not you're going to live, as an example, through the next year is figured out at that point. So it's got kind of a sort of mystical long-term aspect of it. And the period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are actually called the 10 days of awe. And that's because that's, I guess, when God's deciding who gets to make it through the next year and not. I don't, obviously believe in that religious part of it, but again, the part that Susie talked about in terms of it being something that gives you a chance to sort of start over fresh each year very much appeals to me. Again, that's why it's analogous to Catholic confessional.
The other thing that I think about too, Lee, is that's also a holiday where you don't eat any food, like we had told you earlier about the only thing you can have is water. And then when the sun sets, you have this wonderful meal where, the whole 10 days kind of comes to an end and everyone's famished, and it's just really nice to be with family and have this breakfast meal, which is a really nice thing to do as well.
And you eat a really cool meal.
Yeah, it's all dairy stuff, isn't it?
So, not necessarily.
No, but a lot of it is because
traditionally
it's easy on your tummy.
Right.
Well, I think the philosophy is supposed to be easy on your tummy, having fasted for long. The other thing that you should know, and your Uncle Ben pointed this out because I told Uncle Benny that you were kind of interested in this idea of, potentially sexual issues as it relates to Yom Kippur, and Uncle Ben's point is well taken that that's a serious no-no because it's not about self-gratification at all. So that would be not the thing to do.
So if you're hot and horny, you're supposed to wait at least till you're done and break the fast from sex too. Good to see.